What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This Friday, I had the opportunity, while out in Arizona, attending a Henry Akins Jiu-Jitsu, what would it be? Is it a camp or a seminar? I think it would be a camp because it was a little bit longer. Didn't get to complete the whole thing because I had some travel that I needed to accomplish as well. But I've been to at least a half a dozen at this point, and I'm sure I'll be to a half a dozen more as soon as he puts up another half a dozen because they are awesome. We were training at a location called Verde Valley BJJ, which happens to be owned by one and only Maynard James Keenan, who is the lead singer of Tool, Puscifer, and A Perfect Circle, even though I don't think A Perfect Circle is playing music anymore. He's also a vintner. I think that's the word for it. Somebody who's really into wine and produces wine. Caduceus Cellars, I've been part of their Velvet Slippers Club for a couple of years now. If you're into wine, holy shit. Stop this episode and go sign up for it. It's some of the most amazing wine that I've ever had. But Maynard does a good job of talking about it on his own. I mean, he's the guy who knows actually about wine. I know what it tastes like and what I like. He knows actually how to make the stuff that I like to taste and fall in love with. So, not a full Auto Friday today. Just a 30-minute conversation with Henry and Maynard. Enjoy.
Okay, I got the red smoke. Gun run, north or south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke. Okay, copy, west of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now. Come on with it, baby, give it to me, I need it. You're cleared hot. Copy, cleared hot.
Feels so official.
I think we're fucking here in the best part of Arizona.
He's already hijacking it.
He's hijacking the thing, isn't he?
He did, yeah.
Did I fucking
He's gonna make it about him.
Let me tell you guys what we're doing this weekend. So, I'd like to introduce.
How'd you
This-
find... Yeah.
This area is almost as amazing as my half guard pass.
How'd you find jiu-jitsu?
How did I find it?
Yeah, because that ties us kind of what we're doing
Tim
here.
Alexander.
In what
from
year?
Primus, 1994, because it's right before I met you. 1994. Tim was like, "Oh my God, dude, you got to see this thing!" And he had a VHS of on one of the UFCs, and we geeked out over that on a tour bus, and we're trying to figure out where we would go to take part in this thing, because I have a former wrestling background. I don't know if he had a wrestling background, but we were just excited about it. And so turns out that Rickson's Academy, and that was what came out right away, was like, well, that's Hori and the brother, but apparently the champion of the family is Rickson, and he's right over here on Pico. So I went there. About 5 months later, I got out of the hospital, because you're just walking right into just getting hit by a truck.
I was going to ask
We're going to need that check before you leave the building. Oh, fuck.
Did you meet Henry early on when you went to Rickson's?
I think I was there for about a week before you got there.
Okay.
And then you showed up with a bunch of other people came at the same time.
The Oklahoma Jiu-Jitsu Mafia.
Yeah, and I think at that time I'd learned a couple things, and I was able to kind of keep ahead of them for a second. Literally, within an hour, Henry's like, "Oh no, I get this," and I'm like, "How did my arm get back there?"
Yeah.
Like, my arm is waving out of my own ass.
It's a bespoke experience rolling with Henry.
Yeah, he took to it like a duck to shit water.
Well, you also invested a lot of time. I remember you talking about how much time you would spend on the mat, like hours a day, working the front desk. That there are people that pick things up quickly, and then the time soak in that as well too. I think it helps for sure.
And I literally had just moved to Arizona, and so I was literally driving 7 hours back from Arizona to go to Rickson's Academy, try to stay in LA for about a week.
It was that important to you?
Yeah, and then I would drive back to Arizona. At some point I just couldn't do that anymore. And then I was stuck. I couldn't go to an academy because of the, what was the word you called it? Like you don't go, you only go to
Creanche.
Yeah, you can't, there's an academy down in Phoenix.
What would Rickson have done if he had heard that his students were training at other academies?
Oh yeah, you'd be done. You can't come in.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy about anyone training at other places. I mean, so I asked him one time because at the time I was dating his brother's daughter, Horion's daughter, Rose. So
See, this is shit. This
I
is
was constantly
Shinola,
being
right?
invited.
Shit, Shinola. Henry.
I was being invited to come train at the Gracie Academy, which is her dad's school, where at the time it was Horion and Hoyce were teaching. And Rickson was just like, there's nothing you're going to learn over there that you're not going to learn here. And he said, basically, if you go over there, they're basically going to learn from you. And so, you know, anything you want to learn, I can teach you. So I just kept it at that. You know, all right.
That was subtle.
Yeah.
Subtle, rounded the edges on the political correctness. Really, it's just, that's like a drive down the center of the fairway right there.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Where did the rift in that family actually start? Totally off topic, but was it around the UFC?
1902.
That's probably accurate, yeah.
Was
it the interjection of money?
It's really weird. I think it
yeah.
was. I think it was kind of sad too, because like when you see the first few UFCs, what was so crazy is seeing the Gracie train, all the brothers and everyone walking out like holding shoulders, and it looked like one unified family. And then over
that's
time,
how I go to open mat, just for clarity.
That got broken up. That's how we used to roll into the school.
It's pretty sweet. Get our asses kicked.
Me and all my buddies
I
just
did
like
that,
this.
It's just myself, so it looks weird. I just kind of, hey, unity, family. What's he doing?
Yeah.
Do you smell almonds?
Term of Henry. Part of me wants to have seen Henry at the 180-pound blue belt, where he was just turning big rocks into small rocks and small rocks into dust. But a larger
Well, I
portion of
started
me
at
wants no part of that.
155, and then it was 160, and then one.
Thank you.
And now,
I feel the same.
and now it's
in my
Henry,
head. I'm
now
thinking,
it's like 195 Henry.
in my head, I'm thinking, what, when you were 8? Like, when were you at, well, here's the thing. I was actually 155 when I graduated high school. I was a beanpole, 6 foot tall, super bean. So I can buy it.
Yeah. Well, I was vegan so the first 2 years that I moved out there, I was vegan.
Yeah.
And then I went back to eating meat after an injury.
And became healthy again.
And I fucking put on 25 pounds of muscle.
So weird, right?
I was also lifting like a maniac. But then, you know, I went back to being vegan for a while. And, you know, so I think being vegan, I wasn't able to put on much muscle. But at the time, my budget for food was $40 a week when I was started training at the school. So I was living off of $40 a week. So Food for Less was my best friend. I would go to Food for Less and spend $40 on groceries every week.
Yeah. No, I get it. I had that phase. Just say early on in the military, they don't pay a whole lot. Also later on in the military, they don't pay a whole lot either.
In the middle, they don't pay a lot.
No, the delta between the two is a single-digit percentage point, oftentimes with a little dot zero in front of it. So it's not a lot. So then Henry has told stories of being on tour. When did you guys? I'm assuming you guys probably hit it off to begin with.
Yeah.
And then you started taking him out on tour.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Was like I'm living in Arizona. I can't train, so I was like, hey, here's what I'll do. I'll talk my bandmates into letting me bring out because we didn't have security back then. I'll bring out a guy who kind of like handles
Hawk,
the backstage.
But again, you didn't have security.
No, that was you were before Hawk. So he came out to do security and also to train, up our mats out.
Yeah.
All that really resulted in is no Doritos, no Ruffles, no beer left over, no training because he slept in. And at some point, like somebody giving one of our friends, the sound man's wife, some shit, and Henry was behind her. Is he giving you a problem? Boink! He fully like Irish.
I thought you brought me
dude.
to secure catering. I thought
you secured catering, all right.
Secure the catering
At 155 pounds.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, up.
How'd you land in Arizona so early? Seems like it would be prohibitive to what you were doing at the time.
Again, Tim Alexander. I felt the impending doom coming from LA, because there's a lot of vampires, right? There's a lot of people that know how to walk the walk. You're paying attention to these obvious vampires over here, then there's one over here. There's a day walker right behind you. So I needed to get out. I needed to be close by. But Tim Alexander, I had mentioned that to him, and he's like, "Hey, I used to live in this little town in Arizona." you should check it out. He brought me out here to Jerome, and I moved there within a month. I'd moved to Jerome.
Well, I remember helping you move out here when
Yeah.
we bought the U-Haul. We went to, I don't even know if it was a Walmart at the time, but we spent like $400 at Walmart buying stuff for the apartment.
Yeah.
And you have those chairs, those wooden...
the weird creepy chairs with the horns.
Chairs,
I still have those.
Which were awesome.
Yeah,
but I remember like just decking out your first place here, which was like up in Jerome along the mountain, then finding the Flatiron the first time we were walking around town. And we're like, oh, let's check out this little breakfast place.
Yep.
Was your love for wine, did that already exist, or did you randomly find a place that mirrored the conditions that you needed for growing wine?
I think I was kind of getting into it a little bit, but I come from a farming background anyway, from living in West Michigan. We're surrounded there by asparagus, corn, peaches, apples, cherries. Right now, it wasn't there when I was growing up, but it was it's the gourmet mushroom factories right in Scottville. But it used to be the Stokely Van Camps with the green beans. So that whole area is very agricultural. My dad had a garden. We worked in our own vegetable garden the whole time. I worked in orchards. I baled hay. So I had a kind of small town and farming thing. So being here, slowly kind of getting into wine just in general, and then realizing the connection of agriculture with the wine and seeing those things internationally. This area just looked like up the places I'd been in that actually grow the grapes. Not the metropolitan areas where they serve the wine, the places where they actually grow the grapes.
Yeah, it's a fortuitous choice. Unpack what we have here. I mean, we're obviously in your gym right now, but I wanted to talk about all the other stuff you have going on with the wine, because I think we're having dinner tonight at the Hilltop, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brand new.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say the town probably looks a little different than when you moved in. I think you might have a
little bit.
Yeah, you might have a little bit of a hand in that and what you've created. So unpack kind of the ecosystem you've built here.
Well, because and that was kind of like that kind of forethought on the wine is like, if I can establish vineyards here and prove that grapes grow in Arizona, there's so many hats you can hang on that hook, because first of all, it's not alfalfa, it's not corn, it's not those things. It's something that if somebody's investing in vineyards and there's a belief that you could cultivate with the right steward, with the right skillful vineyard manager, you can cultivate world-class wines. That was my suspicion. And then with that knowledge, a lot of other people can jump on board to establish a local economy. So with the establishment of those vines, now somebody can have more hogs, have more goats, have more chickens, plant more other things, establish somebody who's actually growing mushrooms, or there's just all these things that end up peripheral, interconnected endeavors having to do with agriculture and livestock and orchards and culinary. Then everything else that goes around, all the support industries, accountants, mechanics, trucking, all the things that go along with it can actually be established. So I think just having seen the vines, it all of a sudden was like, oh, I could see the whole picture of what could be possible here. And I just kind of started chipping away at it.
So we had dinner last night at the Merkin Vineyards tasting room in Osteria, right?
Yeah.
What else have you, because I know there's more in downtown, or that's not the downtown is, what do they consider, Old Cottonwood?
Old Town Cottonwood, yeah.
What else do you have down there?
Old Town Cottonwood, I have the original Verde Valley Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu location there. I own that building. We're going to probably convert that into the Puscifer stores up in Jerome right now, but we're going to move it down to that location at some point and establish the Queen Bee Vinyl Cafe. So it's all new and used vinyl, but we also have a barber on site. We're going to put a coffee roaster in there, have food.
In that building?
In that building, yeah. I had to build it out more, do a lot more work in the back. So that's there. We have the 4-8 Wineworks tasting room attached to our business offices. Arizona wine, 48, signifying the 48th state of Arizona. So 4-8 Wineworks is on Main Street there. Great vibe, super speakeasy, quiet vibe. And then the Osteria, Merkin Vineyards Osteria, which is now closed because we're moving it to the hilltop. So it's becoming the Trattoria up on the hilltop.
Okay.
So it's
Trattoria.
permanently done now.
What's that?
That location down there at the bottom of the hill in the corner is permanently done.
Well, it's done for now. I'm going to turn that into a Rust Never Sleeps.
I like it. The churn.
Turning it into a hot chicken place, Arizona fried chicken location.
You have a wide sweet spot. I like it.
So the fried chicken in that location now, and then we're actually adding to the 4-8 Wineworks building to bring in a ramen house. So we're going to build a whole ramen kitchen for it to go along with because we make a lot of, for 4-8, we make a lot of meads. So Arizona honey. It says Arizona honey on the barrel, and you look at the fine print, and it says Arizona honey, Mexico. Arizona, Mexico. But yeah, it's a local honey. Horse shit, but
Mexico's pretty local to Arizona.
it's pretty local. But it's great because we make a very straight mead, honey. Honey wine is basically mead, honey, water, yeast, and then we carbonate it and put it in a can. So we're doing various versions of that. We did a lavender one. We did
I feel like that's dangerous. I feel like you get super fucked up on that real quick.
Well, it's a lower alcohol.
Okay.
We're doing super low alcohol. Like it's more like a high alcohol beer.
Okay.
8%, 9%.
You can still get pretty fucked up on that.
Yeah, well, you can, because you're going to drink a lot of them because it's fucking delicious. Yeah?
That's the problem.
Queen
It tastes
bee.
so good.
It's Queen Bee.
Yeah, it's great. So that's, for those, the fried chicken, like the mead, the sparkling mead goes just with it so well.
Yeah.
So those are kind of interconnected.
Tell me about the Hilltop.
Okay, Hilltop.
This small, what you
it's
described as under budget, under time project that's just finishing up.
Yeah, it finished ahead of time, way under budget. Fuck you.
I only laugh because I was telling you.
It's always like
project.
with anything, like you got a bunch of people in town that get, the council, the people that are like, holy shit, this is going to bring some amazing things, and elevate what's going on in this town. And then you have the one person going, is that the right color? No, you don't get your C of O because I don't like that color.
Yeah.
But it's three things going on. There's the Pocket Park we do gelato production, so we make our own gelato. So that production facility will be in the Pocket Park, and you can actually get scoops from the window there.
Down in
the lower area. And then there's a tram that goes up to the hill from there. So if you can buy tokens from the gelato shop and use the tram to get up the hill to what is now the Merkin Vineyards Trattoria. So the same menu as the Osteria, but we've added a pizza oven, and there's actually a commissary kitchen behind it. So any support activity we need for the fried chicken, for the ramen, for the actual trattoria, we can do in that kitchen. And the winery, the Merkin Vineyards winery, is attached to that. So we've been just now finishing up getting fruit today on that facility. So Tim's there with Maddie and Cole working away on that. Then just over from there is the Caduceus Cellars second location. It used to be out in Camp Verde, but we've moved it to Cottonwood. So I make wine at the bunker in Jerome, but the second facility is now closer to us. So barrel aging, bottling, and all that happens at the Caduceus Cellars location there. So that's a full winery. So
there's a tasting room in Jerome, right? As well,
and there's a tasting room in Jerome. There's the Puscifer store in Jerome. And then there's this academy.
When's the Hilltop open?
October 6th is the official grand opening.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that place. The Caduceus wines. I don't remember why I got turned on to it, but it's good. It's quite good. I've been a member of your Velvet Slippers Club for a couple of years now.
All right.
Yeah, I might be responsible for turning the lights on and off in that place.
Yeah.
A few times.
All right. That's good.
I think my business partner was telling you last night we were at his house and we opened a bottle. It was Judith. I think it was a 2008. It was either 2008 or 2007. We were unfortunately a little bit too deep into the wine to remember exactly which year it was.
It was red.
It was definitely red.
It was in a bottle.
It was in a bottle.
And then it wasn't in a bottle.
It wasn't, and we broke some glasses around a fire in the middle of Montana winter. Yeah. But both of us took a sip out of it. It's the single best bottle of wine that I've ever had. Oh. And I'm not a crazy wine aficionado, but that one sticks out to me. Right. It was, and of course,
well, usually there's always that speculation of like, you can't taste the price in a wine. No, you can't, of course. Of course you can't. It's all about supply and demand, right?
Well, you can prove that wrong by just going to Safeway and uncorking some stuff. You can definitely taste a $2.99 wine.
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. There's definitely a difference in quality when it comes to actual effort.
Yeah.
And what's actually happening in the vineyard. Anything below $15 is sus, because you're not really sure what's going on with that wine. Is it extra wine? Is it bulk wine? It's very, very difficult financially to grow grapes and make wine and sell it wholesale for it to land on a shelf for $10, $12. That's just almost, for us, it's impossible. Right?
Yeah.
So you basically charge based on what your vineyard tonnage costs are all in. Your packaging costs, all those things go into it. But as far as thoughtfulness and actually attention to detail on growing, we go all in. We are meticulous in the vineyard because we believe that wine is made in the vineyard. I'm simply a steward. When that grape shows up to my house to be made into wine, it's 90% made. I just have to get out of the way and get it over the finish line.
Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
Are you still excited about music?
Yeah.
Equally as excited, or is wine taken over?
Oh, no.
lead position?
It's all creativity. It's all puzzles, right? It's all puzzles, just like jiu-jitsu. Like music, to me, I feel like it doesn't come easy. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of work to figure out the puzzles on how the story and how the melodies and rhythms work with these rhythms and these melodies. It's always a puzzle from the ground up. And it's the same with wine. You're dealing with so many variables coming in. That's why being on the forklift as the fruit arrives is important, because I don't know what this fruit's going to look like this year. I have an idea with a history, and I have an idea how we're going to ferment it. But as far as it coming in, he thought it was going to be 2 tons. It's 3 tons. He thought it was going to be 2 tons. It's half a ton. Because it's Mother Nature, it's weather. So those things coming in, the decisions I make in real time on how to get that from grape to wine affect the end product because of the volumes. If I have to blend things together to make it fit in that tank, that's a different wine than having them separate. So all these real-time decisions. And I'm good at logistics, and that these kind of organizational thoughts make sense to me. The thing that's harder than all of those things has been jiu-jitsu. So that puzzle has eluded me forever,
Henry.
and it's finally coming around to figuring that out.
Just don't let them do what they're trying to do.
To answer your question, I think the wine and the music, they dovetail perfectly together for me, because there's a home base with the wine and that decompression and that ability to settle into writing in your own bed. Being able to sleep at home.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for traveling and writing, but it never really works for me.
It makes sense if you're deeply creative. I think that would tie right back into
if you're always on the road, you
jiu-jitsu as well,
can't. Back in the day, I remember the bands that I liked. The first 2 albums, they had they're coming out swinging, and their 3rd album ends up being about the road.
Yeah.
Or about their record label, or their manager, or the breakup of the band. Like those 3rd albums, because they were shoved on the road and they didn't have an actual life.
Yeah.
So they're actually writing about what they see in front of them, and it's lawsuits and drug addicts and breakups. And
I feel like that would be hard to actually avoid unless you took the path that you did and detached yourself and found a home base. If that's your life, it'd be hard to write about anything else.
I think getting out was important for me. I don't know that everybody else is wired that way, so yeah.
Tell me about the academy we're sitting in.
Verde Valley, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We are finding, I'm sure you guys, we talked about it earlier, where it used to be you walk into a school and it was all about the biggest monsters, the most ferocious monsters, and it's kill or be killed. And I think over about a decade of that, starting mid-90s all the way maybe up to 2000, all of a sudden gym owners woke up one day and went, we can't sustain this business because we're turning people away that need it, probably need it. The people that need it the most, we're turning them away because they walk in weak. We can make you strong, but we kicked you out the door because you weren't strong today.
My jiu-jitsu coach, his first class, they fought each other with sticks. Which, for a small population of people, they're going to sit there and go, this is my home. Which him and his brother were like, this is fucking awesome. We're sanctioned, going to beat the fuck out of each other with sticks. But if you had 100 people come to that first class, you're going to be lucky to get 3 to stay.
Yeah.
It's not a sustainable business model.
It was Fight Club. It was Fight Club.
Yeah, it was Fight Club.
He said they literally got handed sticks and were like, this, just beat the shit out of each other. Like, fuck yes.
Yeah. So I think over the years, you're having to try to find that balance of inviting people in, and our entire curriculum is based on you understanding how to get up off the ground, how to fall on the ground, how to roll, how to move your body. Because you're not getting former wrestlers, you're not getting football players or judo people, or even people that do taekwondo. You're not getting necessarily those people coming through the door. You're getting people who work in an office who haven't been athletic. Maybe you've got somebody coming in the door that had something go wrong with their life physically, and they want to unplug that awful experience by empowering themselves a little bit to be able to not panic in those situations. So we built, the school we built is meant to kind of get you past that first hump. So the initial foundational curriculum is meant for you to understand when I ask you to move your body a certain way, you can move it. Once we get you past the fundamentals, get you close to blue belt, now we're going to be throwing all kinds of cool concepts at you. Everything from, because I come from a Rickson background, so there's some pretty amazing foundational things that work there. I also, because eventually I was able to go to other schools, early on I met Danaher and Henzo and Dan and Dave Camarillo, and there's just, there's a whole list of people I ended up coming across and meeting, Rodrigo Vaggi, and actually getting different inputs from different people.
Spending a lot of time, you spend a lot of time training with Todd too.
Yeah, and Todd is but Todd is the anchor. Todd is the core person in all of that.
Mr. Kitsune?
Yeah, Kitsune. So he's the one who was like, guiding who I should or who I shouldn't train with. Don't go there, you're going to get mangled and hurt. Because I can't get to the next step if I just go in and get hit by a truck.
Yep.
You got to go. It's got to be wax on, wax off at first.
Would either of you be surprised if there was a breaking news report tomorrow that John Danaher was found with like human heads in mason jars at his house?
I don't think that you can fit a head in a mason jar. I think
it's custom made.
I think that was a deflection.
I will answer first. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think he's amazing, but he appears to me as he might be touching the sociopathic scale.
Yeah, he definitely. And if nothing else, he would go get like fake heads and put them in jars and just leave them in the cupboard under the sink. If you came to his house, you would open it up and go, "What the fuck was that?"
And he would see it.
He would just be grinning in the fucking kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But his meticulous nature, Henry's meticulous nature, Todd's meticulous nature, I just feel like a combination of those, basically, mainly Henry and Todd, but then, that periphery of working with John and working with Dave and Dan Camarillo. Luis, of course, and I finally found Luis, and I didn't know where the hell he went.
Kind of reconnected with
with Luis Heredia in Hawaii.
Probably 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. Or more now, like 8 years ago. So having reconnected there and putting all these pieces together, it was really nice, where the boundaries now, going back to not being able to train in foreign gyms, I'm kind of like the weird redheaded stepchild that's allowed to go around and hang out at all the, this family's Christmas and this family Christmas and that family Christmas.
It's a lot more socially accepted now.
Yeah.
The whole idea of cross training, and that's been so beneficial for you, because I know every time you're on the road, I always get a text. Hey, where should I train? I'm in this city. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're in Louisville. Let me send over Scott, or let me send this person over. Eddie Fivey.
Yeah,
right,
Eddie's been incredible. It's like an extended crazy family now of all these people that have helped me. Ivan Atkinson and
Ivan in
the UK has been a wealth of knowledge.
It's cool that you prioritize that
under Hodger.
Yeah.
But it's so cool because
Amsterdam BJJ.
Yeah, you get a little taste of. I mean, as you've traveled around, you see that jiu-jitsu is so different. There's so many different styles, and there's so many ways of kind of accomplishing and getting to the same result. and every body and every body type is different. And so, you know, like when we talk about your jiu-jitsu, hey, this is going to work really good for you, right? And so you're able to kind of pick and choose from all these different instructors, all these different influences.
The biggest change I made, and this was at Todd's direction, basically he finally came around to it. I don't think he thought this initially, but I think that some kind of revelation happened with him many years ago. What I was doing on the road, instead of going, hey, what's your new cool thing that has nothing to do with me and has everything to do with you? Instead, I go on the road and I go, for the next 2 months, I don't give a fuck about your upside down thing or your new cool thing, even if it's something I'm going to get to next time. We're only going to work half guard pass. So for 2 months on the road, no matter who the instructor was or whoever's showing up, all I'm asking is for you to show me your version.
Oh, you're going to see some interesting shit doing it that way.
Yeah. And
That's
some
so
of it's
cool.
relevant, some of it's not.
Yeah.
And then you come back with it, and I'll try to do stuff, and I'll try to do it with him or Todd, and they go, nope. Yes in concept, but now watch how we're going to refine this for you.
I've never found anything that works on Henry. Tapping, he does let me out, but
That is the master Ken master key. Enter the dojo,
Yeah.
double tap, a skeleton key. That's out. The other thing, and I found that works, you throw a bag of Doritos in the direction you want him to go. He's distracted for literally as long as it takes to consume that bag, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. And in that time, you can tase him.
or escape.
While he's tased, you inject him with something.
But how come you're not growing corn, the most important crop here in Arizona?
We have a Dorito field.
Yeah.
They just skipped the whole thing. The AI has generated a Dorito field, and you just flick a switch, and the farm grows the Doritos 3D and hands them to you.
These guys have been over to my the little gym that you've been to at my house, where I have the Henry
torture room?
Snacks Akins album hanging up, and they're like, "Oh, that's an interesting nickname."
Snacks.
Yeah, with your goddamn
Let me tell you.
foldable sofa that you sit upon and yell at me to get off my knees.
Yeah. Snacks.
Oh, God. What, I want to be respectful of your time and your voice because I know you perform tomorrow. What do you, what's left that you want to accomplish in your life?
Well, I don't know that it's possible, but I feel like that's a long answer. I have friends in Boston, family-owned restaurant in Somerville, and it's impressive to see this family living in that same building that the grandfather, kids, they run this restaurant. It's a family restaurant. It has generations attached to it. You see, a friend of mine was just in town, a friend of mine, grape grower from Australia, and there's a family lineage of grape growers that this guy's from. And I think we've lost touch with that idea of the bigger picture of a family-connected business that goes forward generations, like having met, third and fourth generation Henschke's in southern Australia, that winery. I would like to think that at some point my son and daughter would find interest in what we're doing, all of a sudden discover a way back to whatever journey they want to make. They somehow figure out a way what their role might be in this thing to continue it, not because of not because of a weird ego legacy thing, but because it's helpful for the community.
It's meaningful, too.
Yeah.
How old are they?
He's in law school. He is, holy shit, I can't remember.
20s?
27, yeah. I think 28 now, Jesus Christ. And she's 9. So she has a long way to go to catch the bug. But he
does too. He might find it later in life.
But I think he'll be coming at it from the business side. He'll come at it from the legal and administrative side. Maybe even a lobbyist in Arizona to help fight for our rights to party.
I like it. Nice tie-in.
Yeah, like the little yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think I have a lot of puzzles, a lot of things I like to do. I think connecting the grapes to the food and the agriculture and the actual cultivation of ground I think that connection is important for people to reconnect with. I don't know that there's an audience to really get it yet.
Yeah.
And when, because you have a whole generation of kids like, yeah, we got to get back to doing those things. Everybody wants to work in a vineyard or in a winery until they're actually working in a vineyard and a winery.
In midsummer, Arizona.
Holy shit, this is work. This isn't a thing that I can, all the movies in the last 10 years are like, some kid wakes up one day and they have superpowers and they got to figure them out right away because you got to save the world by 4 p.m. That's not the fucking way anything works.
Yeah.
You saw me the other day working on my forklift and working and processing fucking
2.5 hours
12 tons of fucking fruit the other day. That was my 20th vintage. That wasn't my second vintage or my first vintage. That was 20 years of me making wine. Be able to you watch me making the real-time decisions as we're going. That's 20 years of experience. And I think people have lost touch with the idea because of the immediacy of Amazon and all these things that you just immediately get to have it right away without working for it. So I don't know that people really have the patience or the time or the wiring to get the long-term nature of a family business or the understanding of how to grow a thing.
What do you guys want to close it out with? Come train jiu-jitsu? Verde Valley BJJ?
Yeah, come if you're in the Verde Valley, which is the most amazing part of Arizona, I think. It's incredibly gorgeous. I've been wanting to do a camp here, by the way, for years.
Do you think you'll do more in the future?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Once we get this thing open up on the hill, and once I get the ramen place open, the fried chicken place, you're going to have 5 days of cool food to be here, and food and wine and training.
Yeah, and the facility hiking is amazing, so come train jiu-jitsu, come experience the food and the wine, which is absolutely incredible. You've been a big fan of the wine for a long time. I know we've talked about that.
Many times.
So yeah, and hopefully come to one of the camps at some point if you train jiu-jitsu.
And now we'll show you how to pass Andy's hat guard.
It's fucked up, Maynard. Perfect ending though.